The year was 2187. Earth had changed a lot. Humans had built cities on the Moon and Mars. They had ships that could travel to the farthest planets in the solar system, but they had never met aliens. Not until now. Commander Alan Wright stood at the wide window of Harmony Station, watching the strange ship approach. It was unlike anything humans had built. The ship looked like flowing metal with no sharp edges. It glowed with a soft blue light. "Are we ready for this?" asked Lieutenant Catherine Morgan, who stood beside him. Alan took a deep breath. "We have 2B. The whole world is watching. Harmony Station orbited Earth, built as a place for nations to work together in space. Now it would be the first place aliens would visit. President Laura Fisher had chosen Alan to meet them because he was calm under pressure." The alien ship stopped near the station. A small craft separated from it and moved toward the docking bay. Alan straightened his uniform and headed to meet Earth's first visitors. The aliens called themselves the Vexari. Their leader, Ambassador Zaltek, was tall and thin with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. His eyes were large and completely black. When he spoke, a device on his chest translated his words. "We bring greetings from the Vexari Imperium," Zaltek said. "We have watched your world from afar. Your species shows great promise." The meeting went well. The Vexari seemed friendly. They offered to share some technology with humans. They wanted to learn about Earth culture. For 3 months, teams of scientists and diplomats met with the Vexari on Harmony Station. What humans didn't know was that Ambassador Zaltek was sending secret messages back to the Vexari fleet. He reported on Earth's weapons, defenses, and weaknesses. The Vexari weren't interested in friendship. They wanted Earth's resources. Catherine didn't trust the aliens. Something about them felt wrong. She was flying her scout ship near the station when she noticed strange activity on the main Vexari vessel. "Harmony Control, this is Scout 7, she said into her radio. "The Vexari ship is doing something weird. Their weapon ports are opening." "Scout 7, return to base," came the reply. "You must be mistaken. We're in the middle of peace talks." Before Catherine could argue, the Vexari ship fired. A beam of bright energy cut through space and hit a satellite. Then another beam hit a different satellite. Within minutes, Earth's defense network was crippled. "This is Scout 7, we're under attack," Catherine yelled into her radio. But it was too late. The main Vexari ship launched hundreds of smaller craft. They headed toward Earth. At the same time, 5 more large Vexari ships appeared from behind. The Moon. They had been hiding there all along. On Harmony Station, Alan was meeting with Zaltek when alarms began to sound. "What is happening?" Alan demanded. Zaltek's friendly manner disappeared. "Your species is young and weak. The Vexari Imperium needs your planet's resources. Surrender now, and some of your people will be spared." Alan reached for his weapon, but Vexari soldiers burst into the room. They had been hiding among the diplomatic team. Alan fought back, but they stunned him with some kind of energy weapon. Catherine watched in horror as the Vexari ships fired on Harmony Station. The station broke apart, debris floating in space. She didn't know if anyone had survived. Her small scout ship was not built for combat, so she did the only thing she could. She ran. As her ship raced away from Earth, Catherine saw the Vexari attack begin. Their weapons hit major cities around the world. New York, Beijing, London, Moscow, and dozens more were hit in the first wave. Millions of people died in minutes. Earth's military tried to fight back. Fighter jets took off. Missile silos opened. Space defense platforms fired. But the Vexari ships had strong shields. Most human weapons couldn't hurt them. The few that got through barely damaged the alien vessels. Catherine's ship was running low on fuel. She couldn't reach Mars, but she could make it to the secret military base on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. As she flew away from Earth, tears streamed down her face. Her home was burning, and there was nothing she could do. Meanwhile, Captain Gregory Winters was at the Mars colony when the attack began. He watched the emergency broadcasts until they stopped coming. Then he took charge. "This is not the end," he told the scared colonists. "This is just the beginning. Earth has fallen, but humanity has not. Gregory had been studying military history his whole life. He knew that when facing a stronger enemy, you had to be smart. You had to learn their weaknesses. You had to wait for the right moment to strike. "We need information," he told his officers. "We need to know everything about these Vexari, their technology, their biology, their tactics, and we need to save as many humans as we can." Under Gregory's command, Mars sent rescue ships to pick up survivors. They saved people from damaged space stations and ships. They contacted hidden bases on Earth. Slowly, they built a network of resistance. The Vexari occupied Earth within a week. They set up bases in the ruins of major cities. They brought in huge machines that dug deep into the planet, extracting metals and minerals. They captured humans for study, trying to understand how people's bodies worked. But they had made a big mistake. They thought humans would give up after such a devastating defeat. They thought wrong. In a secret underground base beneath the Appalachian Mountains, Dr. Olivia Sanders gathered a team of scientists. They had salvaged Vexari technology from crashed ships. They worked day and night to understand it. "The Vexari can read minds," Olivia told her team after studying a captured alien helmet. "That's how they find our resistance fighters so easily. But if we can block their telepathy, we might have a chance." On Europa, engineer Paul Martinez discovered something important about the Vexari ships. "Their communication systems are vulnerable," he told Gregory during a secure transmission. "If we can disrupt them, we might be able to blind them temporarily." Catherine had made it to Europa. Now she was training pilots for special missions. "We can't beat them in a fair fight," she told her students. "So we won't fight fair. We'll hit them when they don't expect it. We'll disappear before they can respond." 6 months after the invasion, the Vexari thought they had won. Earth was under their control. Humans were scattered and weak. The aliens grew careless. They didn't notice the small acts of resistance. They didn't realize that humans were learning, adapting, and planning. The war had just begun, and humans don't lose wars twice. 6 months passed since the Vexari attacked Earth. Winter had come to the northern parts of the planet. Snow covered the ruins of cities. The aliens didn't like the cold. They wore special suits when they had to go outside. In her underground lab, Dr. Olivia Sanders worked without stopping. Her eyes were tired. She hadn't slept much in days, but she was close to a breakthrough. "Try it now," she told her assistant, a young scientist named Frank Nelson. Frank put on the small device that looked like a metal headband. Olivia activated a captured Vexari scanner. The scanner was supposed to detect human brain activity. EDR should have shown Frank's thoughts as patterns of light on a screen, but the screen stayed dark. "It works," Olivia said, her voice excited but quiet. "The neural dampener blocks their telepathy. They won't be able to sense us when we wear these." This was a big step forward. The resistance could now move without being detected by Vexari mind readers. Olivia sent the plans for the neural dampeners to all resistance cells using secret channels. Soon, humans everywhere would be able to hide their thoughts from the enemy. On Europa, Paul Martinez wiped sweat from his forehead. The moon was covered in ice, but his workshop was hot from all the equipment running. He had been testing different ways to disrupt Vexari ships. Today, he finally found the answer. "Look at this," he said to Gregory Winters, who had come to check on his progress. Paul pointed to a small device on his workbench. When he pressed a button, a nearby piece of Vexari technology stopped working. Its lights went out. This electromagnetic pulse generator produces a specific frequency that overloads their quantum communication arrays, Paul explained in simpler terms. "It knocks out their systems, but doesn't harm our tech." Gregory picked up the device. It was small enough to fit in his pocket. "How many of these can you make?" "With the materials we have? Maybe 100, Paul replied. "But if Catherine's team can steal more components from Vexari supply ships, we could make thousands." Gregory nodded. "Do it. This could change everything." In the ruins of Chicago, Catherine Morgan moved carefully through an abandoned subway tunnel. She wore one of Olivia's neural dampeners. With her, were 5 resistance fighters. All of them carried human weapons and a few stolen Vexari guns. "The supply depot is just ahead," Catherine whispered. "Remember the plan. Set the charges, then get out. No heroics." The team nodded. They had done this kind of mission before. Hit the Vexari where it hurt, then disappear before they could respond. The supply depot was in what used to be a shopping mall. Vexari soldiers guarded crates of equipment and food. The aliens needed special nutrients not found on Earth. If this depot was destroyed, the Vexari in this region would go hungry. Catherine's team placed explosive charges around the building's support columns. They worked silently, their thoughts hidden by the neural dampeners. The Vexari guards didn't notice them. Once the charges were set, the team retreated to a safe distance. Catherine pressed the detonator. The explosions brought down the entire building. The team was already moving to their next target before the dust settled. This scene was playing out all over Earth. Small groups of humans striking at Vexari weak points. No single attack did much damage, but together they were causing problems for the aliens. The Vexari commander, General Kurvak, was angry. He stood in his command center, which had been built on the ruins of what was once Washington, D.C. His forearms were crossed in frustration. "How are these primitives evading our detection?" he demanded. "Our telepathic scanner should find any human within 5 miles. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Verlon, looked nervous. "We don't know, sir. Our equipment seems to be working correctly, but the humans are becoming invisible to us." "And what about these attacks? 50 supply depots destroyed in the last month. Communication outages in 3 sectors. This is not the work of a defeated species." "Perhaps we underestimated them," Verlon suggested quietly. Kurvak glared at him. "Impossible. Their technology is primitive. Their weapons are ineffective against our shields. They are simply getting lucky." But the Vexari commander was wrong. Humans weren't getting lucky. They were adapting. In the Mars colony, Gregory Winters had been promoted to admiral. He now led all human military forces across the solar system. It wasn't a large force, just a few thousand soldiers with limited equipment. But they were smart and determined. "The Vexari are getting frustrated," Gregory told his officers during a meeting. "They expected us to give up. They didn't plan for a long occupation. Now they're making mistakes." He pointed to a map showing Vexari positions on Earth. "They're pulling back, concentrating their forces in fewer locations. This gives us room to operate. It also means their supply lines are stretched thin." One of his officers asked, "When do we strike back in a big way? These small attacks are good, but they won't drive the Vexari off Earth." Gregory smiled. "We're not ready for that yet, but we will be soon. Paul Martinez is mass-producing his EMP devices. Olivia Sanders is working on something that could incapacitate Vexari troops without killing them. Catherine Morgan is building a network of resistance cells across North America." He looked at each person in the room. 1 year. Give me 1 year to prepare. Then we launch Operation Thunderstrike." The officers nodded. They trusted Gregory. He had kept humanity alive when all seemed lost. If he said they needed a year, they would wait a year. Back on Earth, the Vexari continued their mining operations. They were stripping the planet of valuable minerals and metals. They didn't care about the damage they were doing to the environment. Earth was just a resource to be used up. What they didn't know was that humans were watching and learning. Every Vexari mining technique was studied. Every piece of alien technology that could be stolen was analyzed. Every weakness was noted. The Vexari thought humans were beaten. They thought the war was over. They were wrong. As winter turned to spring, resistance activities increased. More supply depots were destroyed. Vexari patrols disappeared. Communication systems failed at critical moments. The Vexari responded with brutality. They destroyed entire towns if they suspected resistance activities nearby. But this only made humans fight harder. In her lab, Olivia completed work on a gas that affected Vexari breathing. In his workshop, Paul created smaller, more powerful EMP devices. On Mars, Gregory finalized plans for a counterattack. The tide was turning. Slowly but surely, humans were preparing to take back their world. 1 year had passed since the Vexari invaded Earth. The day for Operation Thunderstrike had arrived. Admiral Gregory Winters stood in the command center on Mars, looking at the large screen that showed positions of all Vexari bases across the solar system. "Are all teams in position?" he asked his communications officer. "Yes, sir. All strike teams report ready. They're just waiting for your signal." Gregory took a deep breath. This was humanity's best chance to turn the tide of war. If the operation failed, they might never get another opportunity. Send the code phrase. Begin Operation Thunderstrike. Across the solar system, human strike teams moved into action. They had trained for months for this moment. Each team carried Paul Martinez's improved EMP devices and wore Olivia Sanders' neural dampeners. Their mission was to hit Vexari communication centers at the same time, crippling the aliens' ability to coordinate their forces. Near Saturn, a small human ship approached a Vexari science vessel. The ship looked like space debris, its hull covered with scrap metal to hide its true nature. Commander Eric Johnson and his team of 12 soldiers waited inside, weapons ready. "We're in position," Eric told his team. "Remember, we need to take this ship intact. Use stun weapons only." The human ship attached to the Vexari vessel, cutting through the hull with special tools. When they broke through, alarms sounded inside the alien ship. Eric's team moved quickly, using their neural dampeners to avoid detection and their stun weapons to disable any Vexari they encountered. The aliens were caught by surprise. They weren't expecting an attack so far from Earth. Within 20 minutes, Eric's team had control of the ship. The Vexari crew were unconscious, bound with restraints designed by Dr. Sanders. "Command, this is Stardust Team," Eric reported. "Target secured with minimal damage, beginning data extraction." Eric's technology expert, Lisa Chen, connected to the Vexari ship's computer. "There's a lot here, Commander. Scientific data, Star. Charts and... Wait, this looks interesting." She had found detailed files on Vexari biology. The information revealed something important. The aliens couldn't breathe certain gases that were harmless to humans. Their home planet had a different atmosphere than Earth, and their bodies had evolved differently. "Send everything to Dr. Sanders immediately," Eric ordered. "This could be the edge we need." While Eric's team captured the science vessel, other human forces were attacking Vexari communication nodes. On Mars's moon, Phobos, a team led by Major Frank Nelson planted EMP devices around a large Vexari relay station. When activated, the devices sent out pulses that fried the alien technology. Similar attacks happened on outposts near Venus, Jupiter, and across Earth. Within 1 hour, the Vexari communication network was in chaos. Their ships and bases couldn't talk to each other. Their commanders couldn't coordinate responses to the human attacks. Back on Earth, Catherine Morgan led the largest ground assault yet. With 500 resistance fighters, she attacked the main Vexari base in what used to be Chicago. The timing was perfect. The base had lost contact with Vexari High Command due to the communication blackout. "Move in now," Catherine ordered her troops. "Remember, we're here to capture their weapons and supplies, not to fight to the last person. If resistance is too strong, fall back and regroup." The human forces surged forward, using captured Vexari, weapons, and the element of surprise. The aliens tried to respond, but without their telepathic advantage and with their communications down, they couldn't organize an effective defense. In her lab under the Appalachian Mountains, Dr. Olivia Sanders received the biological data from Eric's team. She worked quickly to analyze it, helped by her staff of scientists. "This is it," she said excitedly. "The Vexari can't process certain compounds that are common in Earth's atmosphere. Their respiratory systems shut down when exposed to high concentrations of hydrogen sulfide." Olivia's team immediately began developing a gas weapon using this knowledge. The gas wouldn't kill Vexari troops, but it would knock them unconscious within seconds. And it was harmless to humans in the concentrations they planned to use. "We can deploy this through ventilation systems in captured buildings," Olivia explained to Admiral Winters during an emergency video call, "or as grenades for field operations. Production can begin immediately." Gregory approved the plan. "How soon can you have the first batch ready?" 3 days for the first 1,000 units. After that, we can make about 5,000 per day. This was better than Gregory had hoped. With this new weapon, human forces could capture Vexari soldiers without killing them. This would give humanity a moral advantage and provide prisoners for information gathering. Near Mercury, Paul Martinez led a daring mission of his own. He and a small team used a captured Vexari shuttle to approach a mining operation. The shuttle's identification codes were still valid, so the Vexari defenses let them pass. Once inside the mining facility's space dock, Paul's team planted explosives on key structural points. They weren't trying to kill the Vexari workers, just destroy the facility's ability to process and ship materials. "Charges set," reported one of Paul's team members. "We have 15 minutes to clear the area." They returned to their shuttle and departed, sending a message using Vexari communication codes. "Routine maintenance complete, returning to main fleet." The confused Vexari controllers let them go. 15 minutes later, the explosives detonated. The mining facility didn't explode completely, but its production capacity was crippled. It would take months for the Vexari to repair the damage. Similar operations took place across the solar system. Human forces struck hard and fast, then disappeared before the Vexari could respond effectively. For the first time since the invasion, the aliens were on the defensive. In his command center on Earth, General Kurvak raged at his subordinates. "How is this possible? How can these primitives coordinate such attacks across the entire system?" "Sir," said Sub-Commander Verlon, "we've intercepted a transmission from the human command on Mars. They're calling this Operation Thunderstrike. It appears to be a coordinated effort to disable our communication network." "And it's working," Kurvak admitted grudgingly. "We've lost contact with 60% of our forces. Order all remaining ships to fall back to Earth orbit. We need to consolidate our position." What Kurvak didn't know was that this was exactly what Admiral Winters had predicted. By pulling Vexari forces back to Earth, the alien commander was abandoning outposts across the solar system, outposts that contained valuable technology and resources that humans could capture. As Operation Thunderstrike continued, a message was intercepted by human intelligence. The Vexari High Command had sent a request to their homeworld for reinforcements. But the message contained surprising information. The Vexari Empire was fighting wars on multiple fronts. They had few ships to spare for Earth. When Gregory heard this news, he smiled for the first time in months. "They're stretched thin," he told his officers. "They can't bring in more forces. If we keep up the pressure, we might actually win this war." The tide had turned. After a year of occupation, humanity had landed its first major blow against the Vexari. It wouldn't be the last. 2 years had passed since the Vexari invasion began. The balance of power was shifting. Humans had captured Vexari technology and adapted it for their own use. They had learned the aliens' weaknesses. Now it was time for the full counterattack. Admiral Gregory Winters stood on the bridge of the Defiance, Earth's first warship built with hybrid technology. It looked like a human vessel on the outside, but inside, it had Vexari gravity drives, shield generators, and weapon systems. 20 more ships like it waited nearby, hidden in the shadow of Mars. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said his second-in-command, Captain Susan Rivera. "The fleet is prepared to move on your order." Gregory nodded. "Send the signal to all resistance cells on Earth. The counteroffensive begins now." The human fleet moved out from its hiding place, heading toward Earth's moon. The main Vexari base was there, built into the lunar surface. The aliens had chosen the location because it gave them a good view of Earth and quick access to their forces on the planet. The Vexari spotted the approaching human ships. Their sensors couldn't believe what they were seeing. "Impossible," said the Vexari commander in the lunar base. "Humans don't have ships with energy shields or plasma weapons." But the readings were correct. Somehow humans had built a fleet that could match Vexari technology. The aliens scrambled their own ships to meet the threat. As the space battle began near the moon, Catherine Morgan was leading resistance forces on Earth. In cities across the planet, human fighters rose up against their occupiers. They had been hiding and planning for this day. Catherine's team attacked the Vexari command center in the ruins of Chicago. They used Dr. Sanders' gas weapons, firing canisters through windows and air vents. The gas spread quickly through the building. Within minutes, Vexari soldiers were dropping to the ground, unable to breathe. "Move in and secure the building," Catherine ordered her troops. "Remember, the gas only works for 30 minutes. We need to get all the aliens restrained before they wake up." Her fighters worked quickly, placing special handcuffs on the unconscious Vexari. The cuffs were designed to hold all 4 of an alien's arms securely. Similar scenes played out in other cities. Resistance cells used the gas weapons to take control of Vexari facilities with minimal casualties on both sides. The aliens, who had expected humans to fight with hate and violence, were surprised by this approach. In orbit around Earth, the space battle was fierce. Vexari ships fired energy beams at the human fleet, but the hybrid shields held. The Defiance and its sister ships returned fire, their weapons just as powerful as the aliens. "Target their engine systems," Gregory ordered his weapons officer. "Disable their ships if possible. We want prisoners, not dead aliens." The human fleet followed his orders, aiming for non-critical systems. Several Vexari ships lost power and drifted in space. Others retreated, surprised by the humans' newfound strength. On Earth, Paul Martinez was leading a special mission. He and a team of engineers had created a new weapon, a virus that could infect Vexari neural implants. All high-ranking Vexari had these implants to connect them to their computer networks. "The virus is ready," Paul told his team. "Once we upload it to their main communication satellite, it will spread to every connected Vexari officer." His team had captured a small Vexari shuttle. They used it to approach the large communication satellite in Earth orbit. The satellite's defenses recognized the shuttle as friendly and allowed it to dock. Paul and his engineers entered the satellite. They quickly found the main computer core and connected their device. The virus began uploading immediately. "Upload complete," said one of the engineers. "The virus is in their system. Let's get out of here before they notice," Paul replied. They returned to their shuttle and departed. From a safe distance, they watched as the virus took effect. The satellite continued to function, but now it was sending false information to Vexari commanders. Across Earth and in space, Vexari officers began receiving incorrect reports. Their neural implants showed attacks that weren't happening, enemy ships that didn't exist, and damage reports from intact systems. The Vexari command structure fell into confusion. Dr. Olivia Sanders was monitoring the progress from her new lab on Mars. She had developed a way to track the virus as it spread through the Vexari network. "It's working better than we expected," she told Admiral Winters over the communication system. 80% of Vexari command staff are receiving false information. They can't coordinate their defense effectively. Gregory allowed himself a small smile. "Good. Now we move to Phase 2. Phase 2 involved the newest ships in the human fleet. These small, fast vessels were equipped with Martinez's reverse-engineered Vexari gravity drives. They could match the aliens' ships in speed and maneuverability. Piloted by Catherine's best-trained fighter pilots, they launched from hidden bases on Earth's surface. In the skies above major cities, the new human fighters engaged Vexari patrol craft. The aliens expected an easy victory against what they thought would be primitive Earth aircraft. Instead, they found themselves facing ships that could match their every move. "Form up on me," said Commander Eric Johnson, leading a squadron of 12 fighters over what used to be London. "Target their engines and weapons. Remember your training." The human pilots followed his lead. They darted between buildings and clouds, firing precise shots that disabled Vexari ships without destroying them completely. Many alien craft were forced to land, their pilots captured by waiting ground forces. General Kurvak watched with growing horror as reports came in from around the planet. His forces were losing ground everywhere. His ships in orbit were being defeated or driven back. His command staff were receiving conflicting information. The situation was spiraling out of control. "Order all forces to fall back to our main strongholds," he commanded. "Abandon the smaller outposts. We need to concentrate our strength." But even this order didn't reach many of his troops. The virus in their communication system either blocked the message or changed it to something else entirely. Some Vexari units received orders to attack when they should have retreated. Others were told to hold position when they should have fallen back. In space, the battle for Earth's moon was reaching its climax. The human fleet had pushed through the Vexari defense line. The Defiance and 5 other ships approached the main lunar base. "They've activated their shield," reported Captain Rivera. "Our weapons can't penetrate it at this range." Gregory studied the tactical display. "Move us in closer. All power to forward shields. We'll breach their perimeter and deploy the ground teams." The Defiance accelerated toward the lunar base, taking heavy fire from the Vexari defense turrets. Its shields flared, blew with each hit but held firm. The ship pushed through the base's outer shield and landed in a large crater just outside the main facility. "Ground teams, deploy now," Gregory ordered. "Take that base." Soldiers in spacesuits with built-in neural dampeners rushed out of the ship. They carried Sanders' gas weapons and Martinez's EMP devices. They moved quickly across the lunar surface, their boots kicking up dust with each step. The battle for the moon had begun, and all across the solar system, humanity was taking back what was theirs. 3 years after the Vexari invasion began, the last alien strongholds on Earth were under siege. Human forces had retaken most of the planet. The Vexari troops that remained were cut off from their fleet and running low on supplies. In what used to be Sydney, Australia, General Kurvak made his final stand. He had gathered the last 10,000 Vexari soldiers in a heavily fortified base. They had enough food and weapons to hold out for months. Admiral Gregory Winters looked at the base through binoculars from a nearby hill. With him was Catherine, Morgan, now a general herself, and Paul Martinez, who had been promoted to Chief of Technology. "We could bomb it from orbit," Paul suggested. "The Defiance could level that base in minutes." Gregory shook his head. "No, too many civilians are still in the area. And I want Kurvak alive if possible. He needs to answer for what he's done." Catherine nodded in agreement. "We've come this far without becoming like them. We won't start now." Instead of bombing the base, Gregory ordered it surrounded. Human forces set up a tight blockade. No supplies could get in or out. They used loudspeakers to broadcast a message in the Vexari language. "Attention all Vexari forces. You are surrounded. Your fleet has retreated from Earth orbit. You have no hope of rescue. Surrender now, and you will be treated fairly under the laws of war. You have 24 hours to decide." Inside the base, General Kurvak listened to the message with growing anger. "They think we will give up so easily? The Vexari Imperium does not surrender to primitives." But Subcommander Verlan, who had been with Kurvak since the invasion began, was not so sure. "Sir, our situation is difficult. We have no communication with the fleet. Our supplies will run out eventually. Perhaps we should consider their offer." Kurvak glared at his second-in-command. "Are you suggesting cowardice, Verlan?" "No, sir. I am suggesting survival. These humans have proven more resourceful than we expected. They have adapted our own technology and used it against us. We underestimated them, and it has cost us dearly." The Vexari general turned away, looking at a map of Earth on a large screen. Once, Vexari flags had marked their territory across the entire planet. Now only one flag remained, here in Sydney. Everything else had been retaken by the humans. After hours of thought, Kurvak made his decision. "Send a message to the human commander. Tell him I wish to discuss terms." The next day, Kurvak met with Admiral Winters in a neutral zone between the two forces. The Vexari general was tall and imposing, his blue-gray skin marked with the scars of battle. His forearms were held stiffly at his sides. "You fight well for a young species," Kurvak said, his translation device making his words sound flat and emotionless. The Imperium did not expect such resistance. Gregory kept his face neutral. "We fight for our home. We will always fight for our home." "What are your terms?" the Vexari asked. "Unconditional surrender of all Vexari forces on Earth. Your soldiers will be treated humanely. They will be held until arrangements can be made for their return to Vexari." Space. You will provide us with star maps showing the location of your homeworld and colonies, and you will sign a treaty recognizing Earth and its solar system as sovereign human territory. Kurvak was silent for a long moment. And if I refuse? Then we continue the war until no Vexari remain on Earth. The choice is yours, General. Thaimbike, alien commander, knew he had no real choice. His forces were trapped and outnumbered. He had failed his mission and his people. With what might have been a sigh, he agreed to the terms. That day, 10,000 Vexari troops laid down their weapons and surrendered. It was the end of the war on Earth, though small battles continued elsewhere in the solar system for several more weeks. Eventually, all Vexari forces were either captured or driven away. 5 years passed. Earth had recovered much of its former beauty. Cities were rebuilt, often incorporating Vexari technology. The hybrid ships developed during the war had been improved and expanded into a large fleet. Humans had established colonies on Mars, Venus, and several moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Admiral Catherine Morgan, now in command of Earth's first exploration fleet, stood on the bridge of the Discovery, humanity's most advanced ship. It was capable of faster-than-light travel, using principles learned from captured Vexari vessels. Admiral, we're picking up unusual readings from Sector 7, reported her science officer. It appears to be a large group of ships moving toward our territory. Catherine felt a chill. She had been expecting this day. Show me. On the main screen, a cluster of dots appeared. The computer identified them as Vexari vessels, hundreds of them. Send a message to Earth Command, Catherine ordered. The Vexari are back. On Earth, Admiral Winters received the message in his office in the new capital city of New Geneva. He immediately called an emergency meeting of the Defense Council. We always knew they might return, he told the assembled leaders. The question is, do we wait for them to attack, or do we meet them head-on? Dr. Olivia Sanders, now the head of Earth's Science Division, spoke up. Our technology has advanced considerably in the past 5 years. We've improved on many Vexari systems. Our shields are stronger. Our weapons are more powerful. I believe we can match them ship for ship, Paul. Martinez, who had overseen the development of Earth's new fleet, nodded in agreement. We're not the same humans they fought before. We're ready for them this time. Gregory made his decision. Prepare the fleet. We won't wait for them to bring the war to us. We'll meet them before they reach our territory. Within days, every available ship in Earth's fleet was assembled. 150 vessels crewed by the best-trained personnel humanity had to offer. They set course for the edge of the solar system, where they would intercept the approaching Vexari armada. As the human fleet approached the meeting point, Catherine's Discovery took the lead. Her ship's sensors detected the Vexari fleet waiting, just beyond Pluto's orbit. Open a channel to their command ship, Catherine ordered. On the main screen, the face of a Vexari appeared. It was not Kurvak, but another general, his skin a darker blue and his eyes narrowed with hatred. I am General Drokal of the Vexari Imperium, the alien said. You will surrender your system to us, or be destroyed. Catherine looked at the Vexari, without fear. I am Admiral Catherine Morgan of Earth. We defeated your forces once before. We are stronger now than we were then. You don't survive a war with humans twice. Stand down, or face extinction. There was silence, as the Vexari general considered her words. His scouts had reported on the human fleet. Their ships now incorporated technology beyond what the Vexari themselves possessed. Somehow these humans had not just copied Vexari systems, but improved upon them. Finally, Drokal spoke. Perhaps there is room in this galaxy for both our species. We will withdraw to discuss alternative arrangements. The Vexari fleet turned away, retreating into deep space. They had come expecting to find the same primitive species they had fought before. Instead, they found a race that had taken the worst the Vexari could offer and emerged stronger for it. As the alien ships disappeared from their sensors, Catherine allowed herself to smile. There would be no second war. The Vexari had learned an important lesson, a lesson that would soon spread throughout the galaxy. Never underestimate humans. They adapt, they overcome, and they never forget.